Good evening, everyone. I'm just here to do a quick summary update of January's trading and crafting. It's not going to be as long-winded as the other video because that was explaining about the business, but you all get the gist now. Basically, the month started with some pretty heavy investment into lots of raw materials, and sales started straight away. We're probably negative almost for the first week of sales. This sheet is also accessible for anyone that wants to have a look at it that's invested. Either me or Lady can provide you with a link. It just gives you this link here to a Google Drive sheet. I know that the stuff at the top doesn't stay at the top, but you still get to watch a live transaction sheet as I craft and trade every day. And you don't see the crafting end of it here because that's a back end thing. All we're worried about is what MU we're making, and I don't know why that hasn't updated, but I'll figure that out a bit later. Oh, this must be an old one that I had open. Yeah, just close that. Oops. Let's go back to here. Right. So yeah, first week, a lot of investment into raw materials. Second week, money started to come in. A lot of crafting and sales. Then mayhem ended. All the prices of the weapon grips and stuff started to drop. As you can see in this list here, they dropped from all the way up here. They start off at the beginning of the month around about 120%. You can see there. As we crawl towards the end of the month, weapon grips dropped dramatically to 107%. So, look, it doesn't matter whether Mayhem's on or not. It doesn't matter whether there's an event on or not. This business runs. MU goes up on things, I sell things for more MU. Simple as that. And then MU goes down on things, and I sell MU stuff for a little bit less MU, but not that much less. The average price of the things we sell are actually more constant than the average price of the MU. So it's actually better for us when there's no events on to craft, and when the events are on to pile all the weapons and amps and stuff on. So the business was based around me making a 10% investment for my clients, which is you guys, and 10% for myself to cover Mindark's supposed 90% return. And someone asked me the other day, why would I do this? Because it must be at a loss or whatever. But as you can see in our boxes here, I cycled a total of 42,881 PED in sales. That's buy and sell. Out of 10,000 PED, I accumulated 4,972 PED of MU in. I did pay 2,434 PED of MU out, and our profit is at 2,537 PED for the month, which is on 10,000 PED, 25%. So I've made the 10% for my investors, and I've also made 10% for myself and 5% on top of that. The 5% on top probably attributes to a couple of blueprints I looted. I did loot a resource extractor blueprint that earned us a few hundred PED, and I sold a couple of explosive projectile blueprints, which I do loot during the proceeds of my craft. So those things probably would add up to that 500 PED, but you do get them quite often if you craft as often as I do, so you could almost include them into the month. Here we've started the second month, February. A lot of investors have reinvested, or new ones have come on board, bumping our little investment amount just over the 10,000, which is fine. Just to let you know, me and my wife, the reason we chose 10,000 PED in the first place is because we've got the 1,000 USD sitting in a bank account. So I said to one of my major investors the other day, if I started to make less than 20% in the month, which would mean I'm not covering my losses and the 10% I'm promising my investors, I would end this investment. And I would say, here's your money back. Here's a month of this month's of investment money, and this is no longer profitable for me. But I've been doing this for about 2 years before I got the investors, and I'm only what is it now? The third today, and I'm already 277 ped in profit. I've got a lot of backing material from the last month sitting in my bank, and a lot of materials already crafted ready for sell. So I replaced them as they go for sale on the auction house. I did make some money out of high tier rate guns. People tend to pay a little bit better for those. I only craft amps for guns. They don't sell often enough for me to rely on it to put into the cycle. So there is a lot of amp crafting in amongst this as well. I generally try to buy at least 1 or 2 amp blueprints at the beginning of the month and just craft them as people sell me focus lens components, and I've got the spare metal residue. If I end up with a HOF of metal residue, I do try to craft all that into amps, because at the end of the day, an amp sells for 100 and almost 130%, whereas a gun doesn't. So that's how we're approaching that. I'm not quite in the position to be able to buy loads and loads of raw materials off players. I tend to just get off the auction house what I need, and the reason for doing that is I can only craft as things sell. So if I sell 4 lots of metal mountings in a day, I all of a sudden need a lot of low loss link cables, and people just don't have that on hand all the time. I'm sure relationships will flourish during the course of the year where I will have reliable sources where I can get them for a bit cheaper and cut out the auction fee. But as always, the aim of the business is to cut down this MU out so that this MU profit grows. The MU in is going to be the MU in, but the MU out, I mean, look, I'd love to have someone farming me robot heat sinks all day, every day for 115%, but it just doesn't happen. They're too hard to get. You need a high level player. So those relationships will form, and that type of thing will get better. But at the moment, I'm actually quite happy to do it the way I'm doing it, with buying the stuff off the auction house in bulk as we've been doing, and making this 25% a month for all of us. So thank you for putting all your faith into me, and allowing me to be able to run a project like this, because until I had this type of ped behind me, I couldn't really get it into a physical form like this. And I won't let you down in the future. Yeah, it looks like the coming months up ahead, like February is a quiet month, so February will be a good month to see, because there's no events, there's no mayhems. So February will be a good month to actually see how the investment pans out on an average month. And I'm just telling you now, the sales still happen. They might not happen 100 miles an hour, but they still happen. At the beginning of the month, I sort of started to just buy stuff off the auction house, and that started to negative gear a bit. So I'm actually a level 59 prospector, so I've actually found it more profitable to mine in between waiting for sales and in between big crafts. So when I've got no crafting to do and stuff, you'll actually see as you flick through this list, I've actually sold a fair whack of mining goods. And there's the RE202 blueprint I sold for 350,000%. Had 6 clicks on it, and I sold it for 200 ped. Just to give you an example of how some things work out. You don't make that type of markup on anything else. But if you can throw a few of them in a month, explosive recycle 1 and 2 here, 5 clicks, 8 clicks, there's 70, 80 ped there. You don't get them that often, but when you craft as often as I do, you do get them. So they're the types of things that top up the MU at the end of the month. But in general, our major MU comes from crafting and selling. So I'm going to wrap that up. I think that's as much as I can really say right now. Let's just go for it this month. See how this month pans out. February will be a good telltale month. If we earn at least 20%, I'll be happy. You guys will get paid, and we'll continue the investment as per normal. I did get asked whether we would accept more investors on top of the allocated amount we've put in. We are working on increasing the amount of money we have sitting in our bank account set aside for this game. Once that climbs up to a higher level and we've got the backing for the just in case scenario, we'll let people know and let people invest more than what they are currently investing. But at the moment, we're going to stick with the with the investments we have now. A couple of people dribble in here and there, and I say yes to them, but no major stuff that's going to put us in a position where we can't cover the money. Well, we don't want that to happen. So maybe 2, 3 months, 4 months down the track, we might increase our PED flow to 20,000, and things keep going good with the game. Everyone that's already an early time investor or a new investor, and already been with us for a couple of months, will get notified that this is going to happen, and they'll get prior choice. But at the end of the day, everyone will be getting equal opportunity at the beginning of the month, and then options to fill gaps after the 3rd of each month. Well, that's it for me. I'm out, and thanks for watching the video, and happy days.